Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We're going to go back 72 years to August 10th, 1952. CBS's answer to Dragnet in realistic police drama, The Lineup. A suspect dies of poisoning. And we thank you for tuning in on this Sure Happy It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's the 10th day of August, 222nd day of the year, 143 days remaining in the year. Happy birthday, Missouri. You became the 24th state of the Union on this date in 1821. Smithsonian Institute established in Washington on this date in 1846. President Franklin Roosevelt stricken with polio at his summer home on Campobello Island on this date in 1921.
I hope that you will pardon me for an unusual posture of sitting down during the presentation of what I want to say. But I know that you will realize that it makes it a lot easier for me in not having to carry about 10 pounds of steel round on the bottom of my legs, and also because of the fact that I have just completed a 14,000-mile trip.
The opening of President Roosevelt's last speech to Congress in March of 1945, he would pass away of a cerebral hemorrhage about 6 weeks after that speech. U.S. forces seized Guam from Japan in 1944. Candid Camera with Alan Funt debuted on television in 1948 after being on radio for a year as Candid Microphone. Spider-Man making his debut in issue 15 of Amazing Fantasy Comics in 1962. First Lady Betty Ford went on 60 Minutes with Morley Saper on this date in 1975 and created a storm of controversy over her then-considered liberal attitude when Saper asked her what her reaction would be if her daughter told her, "Mother, I'm having an affair."
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I think she's a perfectly normal human being, like all young girls. If she wanted to continue it, I would certainly counsel and advise her on the subject, and I'd want to know pretty much about the young man that she was planning to have the affair with, whether it was a worthwhile encounter or whether it was going to be one of those. She's pretty young to start affairs.
The press made much of the then salacious nature of the question and ignored the call to maintain open communication between parents and their children. President Reagan on this date in 1988 signed a bill that awarded $20,000 to each survivor of the Japanese-American internment. $20,000, not a lot then, even less now. Ruth Bader Ginsburg sworn in on this date in 1993 as the second female U.S. Supreme Court Justice. Timothy McVeigh, Terry Nichols indicted on this date in 1995 for the Oklahoma City bombing. Michael Fortier pled guilty in a plea bargain agreement for his testimony. It was on this date in 2018, Horizon Air employee Richard Russell hijacked and performed an unauthorized takeoff on a Horizon Air Bombardier Dash 8 Q400 plane at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Washington, flying it for more than an hour before crashing the plane and killing himself on Ketron Island in Puget Sound. And a derecho, a widespread, long-lived straight-line windstorm in Iowa on this date 2 years ago today, became the most costly thunderstorm disaster in U.S. history. Passing away on this date, Rin Tin Tin, the dog. Also, politician Estes Kefauver, Isaac Hayes, also Irving Fine, the producer and manager for both Jack Benny and George Burns, singer-actress Edie Gourmet, and Jeffrey Epstein. And we're not going to go into that. This is not a political show. This is the birth date of President Herbert Hoover, the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, Jack Haley, singer Jimmy Dean, Big Bad John, Eddie Fisher, another fine singer, also the Righteous Brothers, Bobby Hatfield, and the Ronettes, Ronnie Spector, She was born on this date, passed away last year at the age of 78. Passed away this year at the age of 78. Turning 72 today, R&B jazz singer Patty Austin, 72 years old today. From Desperately Seeking Susan, Roseanne Arquette, 63. Actor Antonio Banderas is 62. From Law & Order, Angie Harmon, 50 years old today. From Reba, Joanna Garcia, 43. And model and businesswoman Kylie Jenner, 25. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 10th day of August as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
I had to do that just for Jeff Stein. Alrighty, we're going back 72 years, August 10th, 1950. The lineup on this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, and that'll begin, but first these words. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back 72 years, August 10th, 1950, the lineup.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take you now behind the scenes of a police headquarters in a great American city, where under the cold, glaring lights will pass before us the innocent, the vagrant, the thief, the murderer. We take you now to the lineup.
I won't have to nurse you through this, will I, Mr. Magnoni? You know what to do, how to behave.
Are you kidding, Lieutenant? I bet I'm your most steady customer at these shows. You know, it's getting so's I look forward to them.
You enjoy the lineup, eh, Mr. Magnoni?
Well, let's put it this way. If something disturbing don't happen in Magnoni's gin mill, I sulk. If someone don't get their teeth pushed in, I feel like I've been passed by the world.
Yeah, they tell me you had a good one last night.
Oh, one of the best. This character got loaded in a way I never saw before, and I've seen many ways.
He beat the other man up with his fists. He didn't use a
Only
tire
with
iron?
his fists. Also in a way I've never seen before. You know, it's a wonder the man didn't die right there. They tell me he's dying in a hospital, though. Maybe murder, huh? You think murder?
May I have your attention, please?
Hey, there's the sergeant. I like him.
You
He
people out
grows
there on
on
the
you.
other side of the wire in the audience room, may I have your attention, please? Thank you. My name is Greb, Sergeant Matt Greb. I'll explain the lineup to you. Each of the suspects you will see will be numbered. I'll call off a number, their name and charge. If you have any questions or identifications, please remember the number assigned to the prisoner as I call his name. At the end of each line, when I ask for questions or identifications, call out the number. If you're sure or not too sure of the suspect, have him held. The officers who took your name will assist you. They're seated among you. Please be prompt with your questions or identifications.
When the prisoners leave here, they're sent to the bathroom.
When the prisoners leave here, they are sent to the bathroom.
I know it as
and
good
dressed
as
back
he
into their
does.
jail
Better.
clothes. It makes it quite difficult to bring them back after they leave here. The questions I ask these suspects are merely to get a natural tone of voice, so do not pay too much attention to their answers as they often lie. Bring on the line. All right, boys, come on. Move right up to the end of the stage. You keep moving. Get a move on. Come on. Now turn and face the front. Hands to your sides. Look straight ahead. You, the third boy, lift your face so the light hits it. That's it. Number 1, Myron Graham, possession. Where do you live, Myron?
1312 Troost Avenue.
What's your business, Myron?
I'm a salesman.
What do you sell, Myron?
What the kids ask me for.
What do you sell?
What the kids ask me for, that's all. Shoelaces, potato peelers, things kids need.
High school kids?
I don't ask them, do they got an education?
Number 2, Harry Weston, assault. How do you make a living, Harry?
I'm a musician. I blow a clarinet.
Where?
At a Troy Club on 15th.
Why did you hit the girl?
She wanted to walk me home.
That was a reason to hit her?
Sure, 2 of them were walking me home already. 3 girls is a crowd. With me, anyway.
Number 3, Kip Stanley, theft. Where do you live, Kip?
Out of town.
Where out of town?
Lakeshore Village, 1016 Shore Drive.
It's expensive out that way. How do you do it, Kip?
I keep my nose to the grindstone, My shoes shine, my pants pressed. I am pleasant and courteous.
How do you live in such an expensive place, Kip?
Friends lend me money.
What friends, Kip?
Friends I meet on the street. I tip my hat, bow slightly, show them my revolver. They become friendly, lend me money.
Number 4, George Miller, assault. Where do you live, George?
Look, I don't feel so good.
Where do you live, George?
Matson Hotel on Elm, I think.
I got that old
The
feeling.
man you beat up, George, did you know him?
Let him sweat a little more,
The
then
man
I'll
you
say.
beat up, George, did you know him?
Look, I keep telling you, I'm not feeling good.
The hangover will go away, George. Tell me about the man you hit.
I don't remember.
Look, Magnoni, if that's the man, tell us. Tell us right now.
Are there any questions or identifications from the audience? Any questions or identifications, please?
Magnoni.
Yeah, that's him. Number 4. Sergeant?
I'll take care of it. Sergeant Greb?
Yes, Lieutenant.
Number 4, hold for interrogation. Sit down, George.
Tell me to lie down. That's what you ought to tell me to do.
Right there, that chair. Sit.
Lieutenant, get something for me, huh?
I'll tell you about an oversight, George. The department doesn't provide for hangovers.
Look, listen to me. Something's happening to me. Get me a doc, huh?
Huh? Yeah, whatever it is, it doesn't look good on you.
Yes, sir?
Get Dr. Lynn up here.
Yes, sir.
Now you're making me happy, Lieutenant.
Fine. Now we'll talk.
Man said I beat up a man. Happens every day. People beat up people. People get angry.
The man you beat up is almost dead. If he dies, your assault charge will read manslaughter, maybe even murder. You know that, don't you? Don't you?
You want to see me, Lieutenant?
Not me, Doctor. George. He's had a busy night. Doesn't feel good about it.
George had a busy night, did he? Well, let's see now. I'd say George really did.
Hangover?
I've never heard it called that, Lieutenant. George is dead.
I come bearing gifts, Ben.
Oh?
The coroner's report, a few sundry and assorted items, very interesting, and this nice cold drink, and a pair of straws.
Ah,
You owe me a
thanks, man.
dime.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. You owe me a dime.
He was poisoned, eh? George Miller was poisoned.
Okay, you'll buy me a cold drink the next time, huh? Yeah, he was poisoned.
It could have been suicide.
Dr. Lynn doesn't think so, I don't think so, and I know you don't think so, so why tease ourselves?
Maybe we're sick, Ben.
I never felt better. Why do you say that?
A man dies, our minds say he died because he was murdered.
Occupational disease. 9 out of 10 times we're right. In the case of George Miller, I know we're right.
I don't know yet.
That's because you don't know things I know.
Oh?
First of all, Dr. Lynn's autopsy report on George Miller says Miller was loaded with a type of poison no one in his right mind would choose to kill himself with.
What time?
All I know is on George Miller it took almost 24 hours. In the home stretch, it hurt him good, real good. Like a hurt few people know, Dr. Lynn says.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said you had something else. What else?
There was a bullet wound in Miller's body.
Oh?
Maybe 2 months old. Tended to by a professional hand, Dr. Lynn said.
Well, here. Return the bottle so you can get your deposit back.
Thanks.
Not at all. Well, what else?
Well, the technical geniuses say Miller's hair, his mustache, and... Remember his hair and mustache?
I remember.
A dye job. The color of Miller's hair is brown. It was peroxide that made it what it was today.
That's all, eh?
No, that's not all, Ben. I had a photographer fix me up a picture of Miller. How he would look with his natural hair and without a mustache. Now, here, take a look. There, that remind you of somebody?
Yeah. But maybe I better check it on the wanted board.
Yeah, go ahead and do that, Ben. I already did, but you go ahead and do that.
Uh-huh. George Bailey, wanted for bank robbery. Says here under a picture.
Mm-hmm. George Bailey, George Miller. Same man.
Robbed Springfield Bank, June 1950, with accomplice Joe Raddick. Both at large, dangerous. Well, let's get Miller's picture in all the papers. The old dope about the robbery. I don't know, maybe the publicity will give us a murderer. Maybe Raddick.
Maybe somebody else.
You'll know what else to do without my telling you, huh?
Sure. I'll get the deposit back on my bottle.
Here. Don't forget your dime.
tried to see you, Lieutenant.
Who?
He just said he's a representative of the Bluebell Cab Company.
What does he want?
He just said it's a matter of urgency.
Well, send him in.
I'm a representative of the Bluebell Cab Company.
Now, what do you want?
This whole thing is mysterious to me. Yesterday in the rain, I let a fare off in front of the Exeter Hotel. Ere this fare gets out of the door, two new fares get in. A man and a woman. Yesterday about 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
What do you want to see me about?
Well, after I let the fare off, the man, that is, the woman I dumped earlier. Well, anyhow, I get back to the garage, and I see this poster of a man that you police hang up in a garage. Be on the lookout for this man, it said. So I said to myself, funny. Not knowing why at the time. Now I know.
Look, I'm a busy
man.
man.
But you're not too busy for this. 15 minutes ago, I opened the newspaper, and I see the picture again. A man who dropped dead from poison in your office. It's the same as the fare I had yesterday. Only in blonde hair and a mustache to match.
Where'd you leave him off?
In the middle of downtown, a busy corner. And in anticipation of your question, I left the woman off at another place. You want to know where?
Yes, I do.
Ruxton Avenue, 1647. Did I interrupt you, Lieutenant?
The doctor's office hours are from 4 to 6, I'm sorry.
My name's Guthrie, police officer.
I see. Please come in. Did you want to talk with Dr. Crossan?
Well, I'm not sure. Who are you?
Mrs. Crossan, what is it you want?
Do you know a man named George Bailey, Mrs. Crossan?
Is he one of my husband's patients? Maybe you'd better talk
George
to him.
Miller.
Why, afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
They're the same man.
Mr. Guthrie, you might as well know I'm frightened. I'm not used to policemen coming in here and asking about men who have two names, about do I know him. Jean? Jean? You'd better talk to my husband, Mr. Guthrie.
I'm trying to find out about a woman who took a cab ride yesterday about 2.
You called me, Peg? Oh. Yes, what is it?
Dr. Crossan?
Yes, what is it?
I'm a police officer, Doctor Ben Guthrie.
I have my regular office hours, Mr. Guthrie, but an officer?
I was asking your wife whether she used a cab yesterday about 2 o'clock.
Jean, I don't know why this man is
It's
here.
just routine, Mrs. Crossan. Don't get upset.
My wife is upset. What do you want?
About the cab. All I'm trying to do is find out if your wife used a cab yesterday.
I don't see how
It's not your business to see, Doctor. I'm asking your wife a question, a simple question. There's no reason to get panicky.
I'm not panicky. I told you I'm just not used to anything like this.
Peg came home in a cab yesterday about 2 o'clock.
It was raining, so I took a cab.
Of course.
Was there a man in the cab with you?
Yes. I don't know who he was.
Well, what happened, Peg?
Well, it was raining. We were both waiting for a cab in front of the Exeter Hotel. I had lunch there, and one stopped. The man said it was his cab. I said it was mine. It was raining. So we both took it.
And he dropped you off here?
Well, I didn't tell you, Jean, because I didn't think it was important. But I didn't know who he was. I don't have any idea who he was, Mr. Guthrie.
Oh, Ben.
Come in, man. Any word?
Yeah, I got a little news on that man in the hospital, the one Bailey beat up.
Oh?
The man will be all right, contusions.
You know what I can't figure, Matt? Bailey's wanted by the police, and he calls attention to himself in a barroom brawl.
Well, Dr. Lynn had an answer for that. Bailey was so saturated with that poison, he didn't know what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. Anything on Joe Raddick?
No, nothing. You?
I made a little call a while ago. Dr. and Mrs. Crossan. Woman looked a little worried.
Oh? What about?
I'd say about nothing. The fact that she's a woman, the fact that I'm a police.
Uh-huh.
She took a ride with George Miller, though, in a cab. Didn't know who he was. Just shared his cab in the rain.
So, you figure what?
Well, let's not make a big thing out of this, Matt. What I figure's what's obvious.
You think his buddy Joe Raddick poisoned him?
Don't you? Wait a minute. Ben Guthrie speaking. What? Talk a little louder, will you? Oh? Uh-huh, I see. Well, thanks. Well, Matt?
Well, what?
You think Joe Raddick poisoned Miller?
Sure I do. For what's left of the bank hall. Like I say, it's obvious. Find Raddick, we've got Miller's poisoner.
We found Raddick.
That phone call?
Uh-huh.
Great. So it's over.
Right. It's over, Matt. for Raddick. He was just shot to death.
August 10th, 1950, the lineup on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll have the news from 72 years ago today coming up following these words.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station. We're listening to an episode of The Lineup, as it was originally broadcast on Thursday, August 10th, 1950. In the newspapers of that Thursday 72 years ago, these were some of the headlines. American patrols have reached the banks of the Nam River less than 5 minutes from Chingju, Korea, and the enemy retreat is now in nature of a rout. General MacArthur's headquarters says Army intelligence, enemy abandoning equipment and falling back so fast they were unable to go into prepared positions. The House voted tentatively yesterday to arm President Truman with standby powers to impose wage price ceilings and rationing at his own discretion. The proposal, adopted by voice vote with overwhelming bipartisan support, provided for the kind of controls Truman has requested. It closely resembled the plan approved earlier by the Senate Banking Committee and due for Senate action today. A desperado who fled after the slaying of 3 persons and the wounding of 2 others, killed yesterday with a single shot. Paul Fry, a deputy sheriff, felled William Harris, 39-year-old ex-convict, after he refused to halt while crossing a road in one of the wildest stretches of the Ozark Mountains of southern Missouri, near Eminence, Missouri. The Senate handed President Truman a sharp rebuff yesterday by slapping down 4 of his appointments to important federal jobs by unanimous or near unanimous votes. In each case, the appointment was opposed by senators from the home state of the nominee, Democrats as well as Republicans. Those rejected were Martin A. Hutchison of Virginia to the Federal Trade Commission, Carol O. Switzer to the federal judgeship for the Southern District of Iowa, Frank E. Hook, former Democrat congressman from Michigan, to the Motor Carrier Claims Commission, and M. Neil Andrews to the federal judgeship for the Northern District of Georgia. Russia's Jacob A. Malik agreed tentatively yesterday to meet other members of the UN Security Council in a secret session to discuss the Council's stalemate on the Korean issue. This was disclosed after a 2-hour meeting last night of non-communist members of the Security Council in the British delegation office. A British spokesman said Malik had agreed in principle to attend the meeting behind closed doors, but he would not say that Malik definitely would be there. A House Armed Services Subcommittee yesterday asked the Defense Department to submit a new family allotment bill aimed at helping Congress hold down costs during the present limited mobilization. Chairman Brooks, Democrat of Louisiana, stressed the subcommittee had reached no decision on the question of allowances. He said new legislation asked of the Defense Department would be based on raising the amount for quarters and a more lenient interpretation of hardship cases. The Senate passed yesterday bills to impose the death penalty on peacetime spies and to give federal government agency heads authority to fire summarily employees when they consider poor security risks. At the same time, House Un-American Activities Committee spurned President Truman's advice and voted unanimously to approve stricter new communist control legislation patterned after the Ferguson-Nixon bill. A quick action indicates Congress ready to go much further in cracking down on spies and saboteurs than Truman, who asked Congress Tuesday for additional legal safeguards against such activities, but warned against going too far. A great believer in brevity is George L. Turner of Washington, currently and usually of the District of Columbia Jail. Currently, he's serving 30 days on a drunk charge, but Tuesday, a detective took him into Judge Armand Scott's presence on charges of stealing a wristwatch and ring from a fellow citizen and pawning the rings for $5 and getting drunk. And while reading the charges, Turner said, "Never mind, I'm guilty, get it over with." And the judge said 120 days, ending possibly the shortest trial on record. Oh, and of interest, the Illinois State Agricultural Association said rustlers took 9,000 chickens in the last year. 9,000 chickens, but only 124 head of cattle. And those some of the day's top news stories as they reported in the newspapers of Thursday, August 10th, 1950. On your radio, the lineup, the conclusion next. On this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On Thursday's Classic Radio Theater, the revolutionary NBC show Wanted from 72 years ago, August 11th, 1950. Big Boy Wagner, the story of Ken Big Boy Wagner, who was convicted of killing 5 men in the South starting in the spring of 1920, wanted for jailbreak. That's on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater, but now the conclusion of the lineup. 72 years ago today, August 10th, 1950.
All right, Norrie, in here.
I ain't no criminal.
Bring him, Matt.
Yeah. Come on, let's go, Norrie.
But I ain't no criminal. You guys know that, don't you?
Sure.
Just because there's a dead man here in my beat-up little rooming house, you guys let your imagination run hot and cold. Just like I was a lawbreaker or golly knows what.
We just want to get you away from that room, Norrie. We want to talk to you before those reporters do.
Like I was a golly knows what.
How long you been out of jail, Norrie?
So long ago I can't remember which way the bars go, up and down or across and across.
About 6 months.
7. You hear me? I said 7.
And since then you've been running this rooming house?
Sure. I studied rooming house methods while I was in stir, observed keenly. Golly,
What happened here? Who found Joe Raddick dead?
The way you fellas talk to
Norrie's nervous, Ben.
Oh?
Yeah, shaking like a leaf. Look at my hands.
Gee, look at his hands, Ben.
They're really shaking, ain't they, Lieutenant?
Gosh.
You see?
Book him, Matt. Suspicion of murder.
Fellas.
Who found Joe Raddick dead?
I did.
Who called the police?
I did.
Who killed him?
Now, who there, fellas? Who now? Not me, not Maury, not old Norrie. Fellas. No.
But you knew he was Joe Raddick.
Everybody knows Joe.
You know he was wanted. You knew he was hiding out here in your hotel. Why didn't you call us then?
Oh, that's a question.
Did George Miller live here with him?
Who?
George Miller, George Bailey, you know who I mean.
Same room with Joe. Used the room more than Joe. Joe didn't stay around
Didn't
much.
Joe come here every night?
Him, Joe? No, not Joe.
You know why?
The dame used to call for him. They'd go out. That's why, fellas.
What dame?
Works the Diamond Dance Palace of Angels on Baker Street. Name of Stella Reagan. I know. Well, Stella and me, we've danced.
Question him and take him downtown, Matt. I'll call you later.
Hey, Mac. The way I tower over you so close says you can't go in without you buy rolls of tickets. Rolls. Without rolls, nobody gets in. Oh, why don't you say so right off, Mac? For a policeman, it's free. I will even hold open the door and escort you in. There you are. Pick a flower, policeman.
Stella Reagan.
Well,
Rudy! That's nice cooking. A little faded, maybe, a little wilted. But Stella makes the night smell good. She's that one. We sell refreshments, too.
Rudy, you don't know what it means to me to have you call on
Stella.
me like this.
Miss Reagan.
I'm very sorry, Peter Pan, but you just lost your chance to Rudy Wetstein here. However, you may try again tomorrow.
No, Stella. I'm from the police.
Beat it, Rudy. This gentleman has a priority. Beat it, Rudy, please. Now, come on, dance with me, Peter Pan. I'll arrange about the tickets later. Come on.
Arrange a place where we can talk, Stella. Quietly.
You work fast, Peter Pan. Dance first, then talk.
That's what I said. We'll talk first, then dance. Come on.
In here. It's good to talk. We girls rest here when we can't bear it no more. So far, it's not unbearable for any girl but me. You caught Joe?
No, we didn't catch him.
That's good. You gonna twist my arm to tell you where he is? It's been tried, never worked.
We know where he is. He's dead. Shot to death.
I got time to cry.
Cry if you want, Stella.
I cried. You brought me the death notice. You're happy. Goodbye, Peter Pan.
He meant that much to you, Stella?
You're quick. Yeah, Joe was that much to me.
When did he hook on to George Bailey?
5, 6 years ago. Joe and me were at a place together, Fowler's Rest. Bailey came to the same place. Joe and George got on great. They knew each other's work, admired each other. That's when they decided to go to work together.
This place where you and Joe and George, where you all met, where was it?
Fowler's Rest? On the south side of the lake. Joe and me had it good up there. Joe rested there. Try it. I recommend it. You, run out of questions? Goodbye, Peter Pan.
Your name Fowler? The man in the boathouse said your name was Fowler. I'm from the police. Here's the badge.
My name's Fowler.
Mine's Guthrie.
Fowler.
I'm trying to get some information about a couple of men.
Who?
A man named Joe Raddick.
He fished here.
And George Bailey.
Friend of Raddick's.
What can you tell me about them?
I told you.
They used to come here often.
Oh, now and then.
Have you got anything against the police, Mr. Fowler?
Both of my sons are police. I'm friendly to the police.
Then what about Bailey and Raddick?
Nothing. They fished. Once they had a big time, a party.
Yeah, what was the occasion?
Bailey got married.
Oh?
Crossed the lake in Vineville about 6 years ago. Come back and had a party. Big party, very big. I'm friendly to the police, Mr. Guthrie.
Here we are, Mr. Guthrie. The vital statistics you asked for be right here in this volume. 1934, A to C. You're in the police line, huh?
Yes, look
Just
now...
call me Mr. Joyce, Fred Joyce. We'll get on better that way. Fella across the lake has 2 boys in the police line. Know 'em well.
Mr. Joyce, all
Yeah, I know. Vital statistics. A to C, 1934. Who is it you care about they're getting married between A and C in 1934? You want to know who somebody married, don't you? Who?
I told you, George Bailey.
Yes, so you did. George Bailey. Fella in here yesterday asking for the same thing.
There was?
Babcock, Betsy Bear. Yeah. Well, what do you know?
What's the matter?
That fella that was here yesterday, the one I told you about.
Yeah, what about him?
Well, the son of a gun tore the whole page out. Must have taken it with him, because it's tore out here, you see? Gee, I'm sorry, Mr. Guthrie. The Vineville Hall of Records just can't help you about who married George Bailey.
This man who was here yesterday, the man who tore out the page, who was he?
Now, don't get riled, Mr. Guthrie, because it won't help, because I don't know. Wait a minute. I just thought of something.
Yes?
Little girl next door in the grocery. She was riding her trike on the sidewalk and fell, and This fella helped her, the fella who was here. I watched him help her. Maybe he and the little girl got acquainted.
Can I help you, please? Some nice vegetables just came in.
You have a little girl who fell off her bike yesterday?
I have. Why?
Someone helped her when she fell. Do you know who he was?
No. But my little girl might. We could ask her. But why should we ask her?
Because I want to know. Because I'm a detective.
Oh, sure you want to know. Carolyn, come here. Hey, Carolyn, this man's a policeman. He wants to know who helped you when you fell off your bike yesterday. You don't know? When she shakes her head like that, it means she don't know. She's shy with policemen.
Look, Carolyn, that bandage on your leg. Who put it there, honey? It's a very good bandage. The kind a doctor would use. Did the nice man who helped you yesterday put it there?
And when she shakes her head like that, that means yes. She's awful shy with cops.
Hi, Ben. Been waiting long?
No, just got here.
Well, from what you told me over the phone, I'd say you were playing a long shot. Unless you got something else to tell me.
No, just what I told you. A bullet wound on George Bailey's body. A little girl with a bandaged leg.
Well, the same doctor didn't have to do both of them.
Look at it this way, Matt. Assume it was a doctor who bandaged that girl's leg.
It could have been somebody else, but... All right.
Well, assume it. Why should this doctor be interested in who married George Bailey? Interested enough to tear the page out of a record book?
Well, maybe he's the kind of man who likes to tear pages out of books.
Come on.
Where are we going?
That house where that new Nash is parked. The one with the doctor's emblem on it. Dr. Crossan's house. Did you check the bank?
Uh-huh.
Good. Hello, Dr. Crossan.
Mr. Guthrie.
This is Sergeant Greb, Doctor. May we come in?
Please do. Now what, Mr. Guthrie?
Is your wife here?
Yes.
Please get her, Doctor.
You want to annoy her again?
Get her, Doctor. The lieutenant and I want to talk to her. To you, too.
All right. Peg. Peg, come in here. The police are here again, Peg.
Oh. Yes, Mr. Guthrie, what is it this time?
This time it's a little more serious, Mrs. Crossan.
Jean, have they told you what they want?
No, they haven't.
You've got a pretty good practice here, haven't you, Doctor?
I get along.
Nice waiting rooms here. Nice furnishings. You must get along pretty good. Wouldn't you say so, man?
Yeah, I'd say so. You a gambling man, Doctor?
No.
What right do you have to ask a question like that?
That's right, Matt. Why do you ask a question like that?
Well, the doctor's been making some pretty heavy withdrawals the last couple of months. I checked his bank. That's the only reason I asked.
Oh. You a gambling man, Doctor?
I have expenses. That's why I make withdrawals.
Cut it out, Doctor. You've been paying blackmail.
Jean paying blackmail?
Haven't you, Doctor?
Haven't you, Doctor? Hmm? Or are you going to accuse us of surmising? Hmm? What do you say, Doctor?
Just because I got in the cab of the man you hound us.
Blackmail to George Bailey and George Raddick, huh? Mrs. Crossan,
What?
you were married to George Bailey once, weren't you?
You can't prove that.
Jean.
You've no proof of it.
Because you tore it out of the Vineville records. Well, it doesn't matter.
You can't prove it.
If we took you back to Vineville and let a little girl look at you, I think we can. A doctor tore the page out of the Vineville records, you. Because your wife's name was on that page married to George Bailey.
All right. Are you arresting me for tearing a page out of the book?
Oh, for more than that, Doctor. You're going to lose your license. We're arresting you for malpractice.
Oh, please. Please, it wasn't his fault. Not Jean.
You brought Bailey here, didn't you, Mrs. Crossan?
He forced me to bring him to Jean when he was wounded in that bank robbery.
Forced you? How?
I was still married to Bailey. Don't you see? I hadn't heard from him for 4 years. I thought he was dead.
Go on, Mrs. Crossan.
Then he came to me wounded, and he said if I didn't get Jean to help him, he'd expose me. He'd ruin my husband.
You really loused it for me, didn't you, Peg?
What? What did you say?
You bring him to me, I help him, then they both blackmail me, bleed me. You were a hoodlum's wife, Peg. If you'd told me, I wouldn't have married you, and this wouldn't have happened.
Gene, after what I did for you.
Poisoned Bailey when you had lunch with him at the Exeter Hotel.
Did it for you.
And shot Raddick.
Gene, it was for you to rid them, those two. For Gene, I did
Murderers.
I killed for you, Gene. I killed him for you.
For malpractice, gentlemen, you'll arrest me for that. You'll note I had no part of the murders.
Gene.
All right, Doctor. Matt, don't bother with the cuffs.
From 72 years ago, August 10th, 1950, the lineup here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A reminder, coming up on Sunday, we will have our annual reminiscences of VJ Day, the end of World War II, including Norman Corwin's exceptional 14 August, which was only written in a few hours because nobody knew that 14th August was going to be it. So that'll be coming up. And stay on top of everything by going to our webpage, classicradio.stream. If you miss a day, you can stream our show on demand. You can learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there. You can find our social media links. You can contact me. You can buy me a coffee if you want. You can find the links to our other things. And by the way, buying me a coffee is not just buying me a coffee. That goes into our fund for acquiring new and upgraded classic radio programs. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.